Prayer and intention are your friend when you're highly sensitive. We are walking around in a biofield. Some people call it the biofield, all the energy fields I'm talking about, but there's the greater earth biofield too. So we're just always picking up stuff. But because we are energy beings and what I like to call frequency beings, and our thoughts are frequency, just setting intentions can shift our frequency.
Welcome to Harmonic Alignment, a podcast that explores the new frontier of energy medicine, bridging the gap between Western medicine and quantum physics, giving you easy and practical solutions. Guided by me, Dr. Larissa Sharipova, and me, Priscilla Koblenz. Join us on a journey discovering your harmonic alignment. It's episode 61 of Harmonic Alignment with Dr. Sharon Harmon. Dr. Sharon is a doctor of holistic health, and she is such an amazing soul, and I love this conversation so much. She focuses in on the unseen, on how frequencies are affecting our health. And it isn't just the EMFs from wireless technology or the toxins and things in our food, but it's also our energy and our thoughts and our emotions. And she has made it her life mission to help highly sensitive people, HSPs, understand that they're not alone and that there are things that they can do to kind of protect themselves and really create an environment so they can show up fully. She focuses in on helping children, but in turn, she always helps the parents. You got to check out Sharon's work on her website, sharonharmon.com. She has a wealth of courses and information to help you bring some of this stuff into your life, and so you can have more joy, more peace, and more love in your family. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe this episode of Harmonic Alignment. I am so excited. Today on Harmonic Alignment, I have the beautiful Sharon Harmon here. Sharon and I met at a Zenergy conference, which was a bioenergetic conference last October, and we've stayed in touch. And one of the things that Sharon and I have in common is that we do believe that frequencies can help heal the body. But I'm really excited for you guys to hear Sharon's story of how she got into this alternative wellness path. So Sharon, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm real excited to have a conversation with you.
Beautiful. Well, can you share kind of your background and your family history of how you ended up trying to find a solution outside of what I'll call the traditional Western medicine path?
It's kind of a long and intricate story, but I'll start with when I was a child from the age of 10 to 16, I was on penicillin for 6 years. Myself, my dad, and two of my brothers all had rheumatic fever, and we had to get our throat cultured every 6 weeks. And it came back positive for strep every single time. So they continued the penicillin. My parents could see that this wasn't working, so they found out through actually my aunt who lives in California, a alternative doctor, and my parents went to go see him. He put my dad on a different eating regimen and added some herbs, and that was pretty much it. He came home, they put the whole family on it, and the next time we got our throat cultured, it came back negative. I mean, that's how fast just changing the food. And this was back in the early 80s when the food wasn't as crazy as it is today. So I really believe as food is a healing modality, very important to change your food, but today it's gotten more complicated because everything else that's going on. But back then we only had to change a few things. My parents were originally farmers, so they knew what natural was, but they also immigrated here to the US. So they wanted to Americanize, make sure their kids were Americanized. So we had American cheese and American cereal, the better kind. We had Special K, not all the colorful ones, and then drank a lot of milk. So we didn't make a whole lot of changes, but our breakfast turned into oatmeal with some sprinkling of nuts and stuff like that. And we had to add a salad at dinner, but it didn't change that much except that we stopped drinking milk. My mom made homemade yogurt and homemade bread and added a few supplements. So I knew the power of how our bodies could heal, and that stuck with me. And because I was the oldest child, I was more aware of what was going on, and I could tell how the food helped my body. because I had to heal some from taking the antibiotics for so long too. So that's a whole other story. But because I kept eating this way and stayed strict for the most part, I mean, I was in my late teens, early 20s, but I was able to go to college, move to New York City. I had a normal life, eventually went back to school when I decided I wanted to be interior designer because that was my first career. Met my husband, moved down south, and I felt good through all this time. Sometimes the energy of the city was too much for me, but I figured that out for myself. And then I got sick again after a year or so of being married, and no one could figure out what it was until we put the two and two together that I had a cracked tooth and the dentist drilled out the filling without any protection whatsoever, which is a big no.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, this is always a good point to point out that amalgam fillings, the fillings that have the mercury still in them, can be such a hazard to a person's health if they're, especially if they're not properly removed. And we hope that nobody is still getting them at this point because it's pretty clear on the science. And I think they're banned in Europe and they're not recommended for women and children in the United States. But we really need to keep making sure if you've had mercury in the amalgams, you need to get them removed properly, safely with the hazmat suit, do the vitamin C treatments, the IVs with it. I had another friend who had hers removed and she actually was within 6 months was diagnosed schizophrenic. Like I
Wow.
am like really passionate about making sure people properly remove those. So you started to have a health turn after your amalgams.
Yeah, my health tanked, and it took a while to figure out what it was. And when I did, the alternative doctor suggested chelation. I found out actually, got confirmation what it was through a frequency healer at the time. There wasn't very many people back then. This was between 25 and 30 years ago. And when I found the alternative doctor, the recommended thing to do was chelation therapy. That's when you use an IV and they help push the metals out of your body, but it was way too much for my body. And that was at the same time that I learned some new information about myself and my body. I learned that I was a highly sensitive person from going to somebody who was more energy based and can tell that type of thing about people. And that information helped explain a lot of things about me, about my childhood, because highly sensitive people can feel things at a different level than other people can feel things. As a child, I would get aches and pains, and there was no explanation, but I was probably picking up other people's aches and pains. I was also extremely shy and didn't realize that's the way I came across, and that's the way I was explained. When my mom took me places, she would tell people I was extremely shy, which I remember that just didn't feel right to me, because what happened is I would go into a room and I would kind of read the room. When you're highly sensitive, you can feel other people's emotions. And for me, I was feeling other people's aches and pains, but I needed to step back and kind of observe everything with all my senses, because when you're highly sensitive, you're using all your senses all the time, essentially. You can get into overload way faster than somebody who's not highly sensitive.
Highly sensitive people, HSP, right? Is that what it's short for? They're like the canaries in the coal mine. I kind of think like they're the ones who are going to be more sensitive to, say, smoke or to mold in the house or the EMF, electromagnetic frequencies. How do people find out if they're highly sensitive? Is it something observable? Is there a list?
There's a woman who's been studying it for quite a while, and she and others have found that 20% or so of the population is actually born this way. I think now with the changes in the world, the toxins in the world, that a lot of our kids are more sensitive and tend to act like highly sensitive people, even though they might not technically be born like that. I believe kids come from God, so they're closer to God when they're born. So that connection, and because they can feel things at that level, I feel like they're highly sensitive. So, and they haven't gotten any of their self-defenses up yet, right? You learn some things as you might get bullied a little bit or somebody hurts your feelings, you learn to put up defenses, and they haven't done that yet. So 20% of the population, and it's how it affects you is different for everybody because it depends on your environment. It's just like anything in your health, physical health, right? Physical health. You need to change your environment in order to heal. You can't just work on the physical body. You got to look at everything. So it's the same with highly sensitive. And so I'm sensitive to electromagnetic frequencies. I'm sensitive to mold, but I've also was on penicillin for 6 years as a child, so that might have made me more sensitive than the other person. Also, like for wireless technology, I was around a lot of technology over the years, and that gets cumulative. So there's not one single thing, but I believe that highly sensitive people attract other highly sensitive people, and I tend to attract that type of person. When I work with somebody, they come to me because of a physical ailment, usually something nobody can figure out because it's not on the physical plane, it is energetic. And it has to be looked at from the energy or frequency point of view.
I
So,
love that, Sharon. I think everyone needs to hear everyone's own individual vocabulary or imagery around that disease or dis-ease in the body. It starts in the energetic fields of the body before it shows up in the physical body. How do you explain that? The energy fields of the body.
well, I start by saying that our physical body has multiple energy fields in them. We have the chakra system. Many people know that from yoga class, but the seven main chakras that go down the center of our body. And then we have meridians that connect different organs to your fingers, your toes, to your ears, to your eyes, to
To your
your
teeth,
teeth,
right?
yes. And I do have, going back to the teeth thing, I write blog articles and I have three on teeth if people want to delve more on my website into the teeth thing we mentioned earlier on how to find a good dentist type of thing. So then we have the meridian system, and then we have very powerful energy systems actually in our hands and our feet, and I believe our teeth as well, because some people call your teeth your circuit breakers of your body. So the teeth are
Mm.
extremely important. So it would be good for people to start paying attention to that more. But then from that physical body, we have an etheric body that's a sheath of energy that is immediately surrounding our body. Then we have a mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies that emanate out from that. And those bodies, they can grow, right? Set the intention to have them close to your physical body, then you're not meshing with everybody else's energy. But if your energy bodies are out, then when say you go to the grocery store and you walk by people in the aisleways, your energies are going through each other. So you're picking up other people's stuff. So sometimes when you're feeling sick, it's not even yours. Like some thoughts are not even yours. You picked up something, somebody was having a bad day, or somebody saw something terrible on TV. It could be so many different things like that. You need to recognize that you're not just your physical body and start looking at the world in that way. It shifts a lot of things. So for kids, for example, who might be hyper. I was extremely shy because I stood back and observed everything. But for other kids, they're being bombarded all the time with stuff, either from their energy bodies or from TV or from the wireless system in the house. They're being overstimulated and they act out and they become hyperactive and they have ADHD. So some of this stuff that we see in kids today is because they're highly sensitive, and even toxins, right? So many of our houses are toxic with furniture and cleaning products and body products we put on our bodies. All those things together kind of accumulate and heighten somebody who is highly sensitive and make it very difficult for them to operate in this world, if that makes sense.
No, it made total sense. This is like this toxic load of everything from emotions to actual toxins dysregulate the nervous system. And what I love is that visual of walking in the grocery store and that your energy fields do collide and what's yours and what's not yours. You had mentioned in a previous conversation about how you to help people tap into basically putting a bubble around themselves. It's in the subconscious, thinks in images, and then it kind of goes out into the quantum field. Can you talk a little bit about how sensitive people can even just walk out the front door for the day? How do we protect ourselves? And even as a healer or a practitioner, and you're someone that's got a lot of health issues coming in, like you have to make a conscious effort, right, to protect yourself.
Yeah. No, that's very true. So, prayer and intention are your friend when you're highly sensitive. We are walking around in a biofield. Some people call it the biofield, all the energy fields I'm talking about, but there's the greater earth biofield too. So we're just always picking up stuff. But because we are energy beings and what I like to call frequency beings, and our thoughts are frequency, just setting intentions can shift our frequency. So you can set the tension, like you said, of first of all, bringing your energy bodies in closer to you and creating a bubble of protection around yourself before you go out the door, setting the intention that nobody can harm me, or I try not to go into the negative realm, but I can't, but that my body is strong, I can handle anything. God is watching over me. You can picture yourself in a column of light as you're walking around that's connected to God above and to the center of the earth, because the earth has healing frequencies too. I like to explain to people that the world, if you look at it more from a frequency point of view, it really makes more sense. Like our emotions are frequency, our foods are frequencies, herbs are, everything has a frequency. Quantum physics has proved it. And that's how frequency practitioners are working, because they have access to these frequencies. That if you can look at the world and try to bring in more positive frequencies with your emotions, the foods you eat, the water you drink, and start eliminating the negative ones, including the toxins, then you are going to make yourself more resilient, and then start setting intentions. Another example of an energy related frequency thing is when you communicate with another person, like you and I are communicating now, we have an energy cord that goes between the two of us. And so we are on the same frequency because we believe in a lot of the same things. So that feels like a good chord, but not every chord is good, right? And you don't want a whole bunch of other people's cords attached to you anyways. So cutting the cords, just pretend you have scissors and just go around and cut the cords around you and just cut them every day so that you're truly yourself, not having pieces of other people on you. Does that make sense?
Oh, no, Sharon, I'm so excited we're having this conversation because the unseen is hard for people to understand. We understand taking the pill, we understand the red light device, but what you're talking about, I think, is the most important thing because the unseen is playing more of a role than we ever imagined possible. And I think the quantum, and we're getting to where we're having the conversation. I mean, I can say now the sentence that sound is healing, and people are like, oh yeah, they may not quite understand why, but they have this sense that they do understand from a music standpoint that music can make us feel good. And so then from an energy or vibration standpoint, that makes total sense. Positive words and affirmation make us feel good. Negative things make us feel bad. And you can branch into that. So you are working with helping people understand those frequencies from everything from the actual tangible, what's in your water that you're drinking, to the EMFs, to the toxins. So tell me how you are helping people with all of this wonderful knowledge that you're trying to share.
Well, I actually have two courses. So first I'll talk about the short one because that's a good introduction to people, especially when you're highly sensitive. Like for example, you might have a stomach ache, but you don't know why you have a stomach ache. Did you eat something bad? Did you pick up somebody else's emotion? Is it something that so-and-so said to you, 3 days ago that settled there? So when you learn, I don't know if everybody knows what muscle testing is, but you can ask your body yes or no questions to get those answers. When you're highly sensitive and you have an ache or pain or you're worried about something, you don't want to go running to a doctor all the time, right? You want to tune into yourself and try to figure out some of these things, and muscle testing can help you do that. So you can muscle test to ask, what is this stomach ache about? It's really helpful for children too. So that's a short course I have on my website. But then I developed a course called Calming Tools for, I use the word energy sensitive kids instead of highly sensitive kids, because a lot of it is our technology. There's just way more than when I grew up. There was nothing basically when I grew up except for TVs and radios. And slowly as I got older, things came in to the picture, but now we're overwhelmed. And that overwhelmed, those are all frequency based technologies, right? That's how they operate on signals you can't see. And so those are also bombarding our bodies. And so the course talks about how to clear your negative energies from these energies bodies I talked about, how to limit technology in the home, especially because usually your home is the most important part. I want people's homes to be a safe haven, right? Both from a toxin standpoint and a technology, EMF, wireless radiation standpoint. And then the course also gives you tools to calm nervous system. And what is interesting that I have found over the years is people find me because of their kids that can't figure out what's going on with them. And as I work with a child and give them tools, half the stuff I'm talking to people is not about the physical stuff they have to do. It's about the energy, how to clear the energy fields, how to protect their energy fields, how to understand the world this way so that they can be more productive and live better in this world. And as I give the mom the tools to teach the kids, the moms start feeling better because they didn't realize they were highly sensitive. Because what I found is that highly sensitive kids typically come from one or two parents that are highly sensitive. And just like me, that I didn't find out until I was in my 30s that I was highly sensitive. People gravitate to me because they're highly sensitive and they learn about that through me. So
I love that. Can people work with you individually?
yes, I do still see. It's easier when they're local, but I can do calls and muscle test that way.
I
Yeah.
love that. And you're based in Nashville?
Yeah. Nashville, Tennessee.
And you can possibly do Zoom sessions as well?
Yeah.
So the courses are these are like go at your own pace courses?
Yes. Yes. Both courses, you go at your own pace and you can always ask me questions along the way.
You've probably had a lot of aha moments on your journey. What are some of the key things that you wish people better understood as they're starting to unravel a health problem or something that, they can't quite put their finger on?
Everything has a frequency and this whole world, everything has energy. Like being in nature alone can be so healing because nature has positive frequencies that help counteract some of the stuff we pick up, help heal the body. So when you have something physical going on, taking a deep breath, going in, putting your hands on your heart, and just really listening to your body, seeing if there is something that's trying to tell you, listen a little bit more. Don't go straight to your herbs. Don't go straight to the medicine cabinet. Listen first. So I think slowing down and really trying to tap into your body is huge.
Oh, that's just important wisdom. Slow down, listen to your body. I love that you mentioned getting back in nature because that's right. I mean, the more we're in nature, getting sunlight, moving, connecting with trees, it's part of the good healing frequencies that we're trying to counter all the new technology in our lives.
Yeah, yeah, it's really important. So that's a big thing for kids. In the course, I teach you how you can modify your home. And so actually, I have a freebie on my website about limiting screen time in your home. And so the 11 habits that you can shift to, shift your family dynamic. So that would be a great first step for people. But then getting your kids outside as much as possible, not only to get them away from being on a TV or device or a gaming system, but the frequencies of the earth barefoot in the ground is huge. It totally shifts the negative frequencies that you pick up from technology. It will help reverse that.
I think that's such a struggle for parents, like limiting screen time because, they're like, oh, well, all their friends have these devices. What are some of the things you say to parents to help them feel better about their decisions to limit their child's screen time?
It is a difficult one, and I have an 18-year-old, so I'm not oblivious to it. We decided to educate alternatively, so he was in schools that didn't believe in having devices in the beginning, and then we homeschooled, so that did make it easier to handle and have those conversations around. It's really about setting the rules. When your kids are younger, that's the best time to start. Setting the rules. Don't let your kids use devices at all for as long as possible, because if they're holding something that's wireless, it is sending signals. Their bodies are smaller, so they're more affected by this kind of technology.
I have a friend who's at a technology company, and he said what he did is he got his son a flip phone so that he had to like push 3 buttons to get a letter to text. And so for the longest time, he didn't want to be on his phone. And he also has a rule that everyone knows when you come over to their house, all phones go in a basket at the door. Like
Yeah.
you're here to hang out. You're not here to be on your phones. And there's also that no phone at the dinner table for everyone.
You have to set, yeah, setting very strict rules and sticking to them. And it's hard. It's not
It's hard
easy.
for parents. It's hard for,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, if we did the no dining room, but there's no phones in your room, definitely not at night when you're sleeping. The phones all have to be charged on the opposite end of the house, away from the bedrooms.
Because you don't actually get good sleep if you're sleeping next to a device. And so many young people are plugging the phone in. Oh, it's my alarm. I have to have it. No, you don't.
Yeah. Don't even get a old time digital clock because those have high EMFs too that plug into the wall, get a battery operated one. We told our son that he could not have a phone until he was in high school. So what we did is when he was in middle school, he could get a phone, but it did not have service. He could play music on it. He could do limited things. And he was the only person he knew that was like that because by then he had a lot of public school friends, he was older, but we had, stated from the very beginning how it was going to go. So that's so important and sticking. It is hard to stick to those rules, especially as more social media came in. He was limited to, when social media was finally approved that he could use it, it was just one to start with. I can't even remember which one it was, but you have to monitor all these things to see what is the least harmful and start with that one when you do start introducing things. And then gaming, limit how long, you have a timer that you put by the gaming system and half hour, whatever it is, this is all you get for today, make the most of it. Just setting these boundaries and these rules. And so some of that's in my limiting screen time freebie that I mentioned. There's some more tips in there. And then modeling as a parent, it's really important. Like when your kid comes to you, when your child comes to you to want to talk to you or play with you, put your device away. Don't half play with one hand while you're looking over here on your phone because they're watching that. Like if you're doing it, I can do it too. There's also newer phones coming out like Gab that are a little bit more limited into what they can do. So there'll be more technology that will help with this as the years go
Oh,
on, I think.
I love that. Yeah, we're definitely understanding that there's been consequences for this technology, whether that's the attention or interpersonal skills, children not learning how to communicate, they're not able to make eye contact. So the
Yeah.
more we can limit that and get kids back in nature and playing. And frankly, it's also the comparison stuff. Like, especially for young women, I know
Yeah.
that the suicide has spiked in the young woman category, and partly is because of social media. It is amazing too when I see so many young people posing for photos like they're professionals.
Yeah. It's a different world out there. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's
And I'm
as a parent,
grateful.
it's very important to keep track of it. Yeah.
Yeah. If you had a microphone and you could really like reach out to every soul and with a message of what you wish that they knew, what would that be?
I would really encourage people to start looking at the world from a frequency point of view. I really believe medicine in the future is going to be more about frequency healing than taking a pill. And if you can get ahead of the curve and start looking at this product is more toxic, so it's low frequency. This product is more natural, it's high frequency, and start looking at everything, the water you drink, the food you eat, the furniture you bring into your house, if it's very toxic, the toys for your kids, just start thinking of everything as frequency. And I think that will shift your energy fields for sure, because as you encourage more positive frequencies into your life, you do shift your energy fields. And so starting to look at your life that way, you'll be ahead of the curve.
Oh, Sharon, I love that. What are some of the non-negotiables if you can get in on a good day to help set your energy field for the day?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not very consistent these days. If I had it my way, every morning I would lay in bed and just run the energy through my body and clear it. Like you can do a clearing to take anything that you don't want that's not at the highest level to up to the heart of God, and then say this is going to be an awesome day, set the intention. for positivity. Even though I want people to be positive, you can't always be positive. You're going to run into problems, but you need to know that if you get angry, you can feel that anger and release it. So it's not all about staying in the positive all the time. It's about doing the right thing when things come along. So then I would start off by drinking a tall glass of water that usually has gone through a frequency generator to make
Like a structured water. It's structured
to make it
water.
yeah, through a frequency thing, so it makes it structured with salt in it. So I drink a big tall glass of water, and then we have 2 dogs, so I often go out with the dogs. You can get grounding through not only the grass but through concrete and pavers that are set in the ground, especially if they're moist. So I try to ground out there when I can. I always go out and say hello to the sun, because the sun is another big positive. Sun and trees is what really resonates with me. So everybody's a little bit different as what brings you that positive. Like some people like going to the mountains, some people like going to the beach to get that vibe, right? So it's a little bit different for everybody. Really pay attention to see what lights you up and what brings you peace and fun in your heart.
Oh, I love that. So it lights you up. Well, you mentioned my favorite things, like starting with a glass of water, or even starting that first moment you wake up. What are you setting your intention for the day? It reminds me of Dr. Robert Sardello, who I'm a fan of. He has this heart meditation that you do to just kind of like clear all the energy centers in the body and bring in more joy for the day. I love that. Well, is there anything that you would love to share with our listeners that we haven't covered that you want people to better understand about highly sensitive people and the work that you do?
Well, I have a lot of information on my website, and I didn't originally start blogging with the intention of talking about highly sensitive people, but more of my more recent blogs, I incorporate that. Really know that every person, even if you're highly sensitive, every person is unique, and you really need to figure out what your kryptonite is, what lights you up the most, and do what's right for you and your family. And then when it comes to your kids, really start early, because the earlier you can get in and start doing the positive things, the good foods, getting rid of the pesticides and the preservatives and things like that, and drinking better water, and just be getting outside more, the earlier you can start, the better off the whole family will be.
Oh, I love that. Now, where can people find you? What's your website?
My website is Sharon Harmon, it's my full name.com. And then you can also find me on Instagram and LinkedIn. That's really where I participate the most, at Sharon Harmon, PhD.
Wonderful. Sharon, we'll share all that in the show notes. And then the last question is, what does harmonic alignment mean to you?
That's a good question. I think, going through the chakra system and just knowing if this is balanced and seeing all of your energy body's balanced for a particular person. Harmonic alignment is just being aware of all that and knowing you want to be a good steward of having harmony in your frequencies, right?
Thank you. It's always so much fun when I get to connect with a soul who loves the frequency work. It brings me back to thinking about another Tesla quote that I recently thought, that once we start studying the unseen, science will make leaps and bounds of progress. And so it's an exciting time to be alive and to be able to be talking about this, because we're all frequency.
Yeah.
So where you put your energy really does matter. So, well, what a gift. I'm so grateful that you're sharing this with the world, Sharon. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you soon. Are you ready for your Energy for Life bioenergetic nest scan? Dr. Larissa Sharapova and myself, Priscilla Koblenz, offer personal, private, 90-minute consults to get you back to optimal health and well-being. For more details, visit the show notes or check out harmonicalignment.co. We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Harmonic Alignment. If something resonated with you, we would love to hear about it. Please consider leaving us a 5-star review and subscribing so you don't miss an upcoming episode. Thank you. The information contained in this podcast is provided for informational purposes only and not intended for the purpose of diagnosing, treating, curing, or preventing any disease. Before using any products referenced on the podcast, consult with your healthcare provider. Carefully read all labels and directions. The products and information received through the podcast should not be used to replace a consultation or advice from your healthcare provider. If you suspect you have a medical problem or have any healthcare questions, please promptly call your healthcare provider. This podcast, including Dr. Larissa Sharapova and Priscilla Koblenz, and the producers are not responsible for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained in this podcast. This podcast may contain endorsements and advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct financial benefit to the product or services referenced.